Well, welcome again, everyone, to this event with Brian Storm on a guide to online storytelling. It's a real pleasure to have Brian with us. I think of Brian as one of, if not probably the pioneer for expanding the horizons of photojournalism and documentary into the online space and how to do storytelling. Brian founded MediaStorm in 2005 after working in senior posts at msnbc.com and Corbis. And personally, I came across MediaStorm, I think 2008. And then Brian and I met actually doing a workshop in China, which was fantastic. And I was blown away with what the opportunities for storytelling were. And I remember to this day seeing Kingsley's Crossing, one of the first MediaStorm productions, for the first time. And I thought, if you could take photojournalism like Olivier Jobard's fantastic story on Kingsley and turn it into that incredible film with the context and so on, then there was a really exciting future. So, and 13 years later, all sorts of new things are possible. So, Brian, fantastic to have you, and I'll hand it over to you for the presentation.
Terrific. Thanks, David. Well, first thing I want to say is thanks to Susie and her team at Photo Wings. It's so inspiring what they've done and how they are helping, our profession move forward by sharing good ideas. And Susie's just a gem. Like, she supports so many different organizations. So thank you to her and her team for making this possible. And David, to you, man, like, I was so excited to see you enter this role with Seven, because you're like the perfect guy to help, that organization. You bring so many skills to the table, and I'm just really happy to see you're the best of you getting utilized by such a killer organization. So great fit, really exciting. So thanks for giving me a chance to share what we've been working on. What I was going to do is share my screen with you guys and walk you through the way I'm thinking about the world right now. And then hopefully at the end, we can do some Q&A. David, I don't know if you're going to follow along the chat. I don't know that I can see that at the same time.
No, that's fine. I'll watch things. And just a reminder to everyone, put questions in the Q&A box. I'll watch that. If there's a quick one during the presentation, I'll drop that in. Otherwise, we'll bring them in at the end and have a session then.
Yeah, the end will probably be better, because there's a good chance I'll answer any questions, but we'll see. Are you able to see the screen there, David?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, awesome. So I just want to give you guys a little context for where we're headed right now. As David mentioned, we started in 2005. We've made about 350 films now over the last 16 years, and it's been an amazing journey. It's been so, just outrageously fun to collaborate with some of the best visual storytellers out there to help them realize their stories. And there's really been three areas that we have focused on to date. The first is that we created our own publication, which we call Publication, because we're terrible at naming things. But the basic idea here is that we were putting together films like David mentioned, Kingsley's Crossing, where we would fund the production and we would collaborate with the photographer to make a film, and then, share in the success of that as it moved forward. So we've done about 40 films for the publication. We launched a transaction capability there, which I may or may not talk about today. I'm not sure. So the pub was kind of the heart and soul of the company. We launched originally with 6 films. And we've worked with a lot of Seven photographers over the years, and it's just been a great journey working on the publication. We've also done a lot of client work where that's been, the thing that's kept us in business is collaborating with others. I think it's pretty clear today for all the freelance photographers out there that there is business to be had in this space. If you are a still photographer and you can tell stories, particularly if you can shoot video, super helpful today to winning client work. And there's so much opportunity because every brand wants to tell stories now. They all want to be authentic. They want what you guys do. So like, it's a really good time for that. And then another thing that's always been important to me, really since I was in grad school, I've been trying to teach people to do these things. You know, it started really with audio. Audio was always the gateway drug to me to getting to video. And we've done a lot to help still photographers think about how to take this step from being only a still photographer to being, you know, a multi-platform, multimedia storyteller. There's always some new name for whatever that is. I call it storytelling. And we've created a lot of workshops around that. We actually have 2 workshops coming up, one on November 13th, which is our 1 day. And then we have a 4-day methodology that's kind of our crown jewel workshop, where we teach people how to run a company just like ours. And then we also have an online training offering that I'm super psyched about, that obviously really picked up during the pandemic as a need. It used to be used in a flipped classroom model, and now it's sort of like just how people are learning. So those were kind of the 3 pillars of the company for a long time. And in the background for many years, we have been working on a tool set, a product that we're calling the MediaStorm Platform. And it really started for the first, you know, iteration of it was all about us packaging video and taking control of our future, you know. And now it's really become this interactive tool set where the film is a part of the experience, but we're using other forms to tell the story in the best possible way. And so I want to start by showing you guys just the way I'm thinking about the world right now, what I see happening to, particularly to independent publishers, which is what I care deeply about. I think that is so important to like a healthy universe, to have like really great independent storytelling that's happening. So let me show you what I think the challenges are today. You're still seeing my screen there with the challenge up
yes.
there? Awesome. Yep. Okay, so this to me is the big problem, is that I believe we've ceded control of very fundamentally important things, of our audience relationship, of our brand experience, of our creative approach to storytelling, and of our monetization capabilities to these other platforms. We are literally building our farm on someone else's land. And I think it's so dangerous that we have gone down this road. And so a big part of my philosophy is, how do we take that back? How do we take control of our future? How do we own these 4 really important sort of pillars of the storytelling ecosystem? It's something that we're trying to empower with our tool set. And when I think about the arc that we've been on, you know, I've always been trying to build things that I think help the profession. I mean, my headline here is, I love this field. I love photojournalism. I love visual storytelling. I think what we do is so important, but it's so misunderstood and not respected in the way that it should be, not compensated in the way that it should be. But I have some good news. I think the future is going to be really kind to the best storytellers in the world, because all the infrastructure is finally emerging for us to take back control of these things. All right, so a couple examples of what I mean by this issue. This is our Facebook feed. We have 26,000 people who've clicked a button that says, I like MediaStorm. I want to know when MediaStorm publishes something. I care about their content or their brand. The problem is, on Facebook, there's this algorithm that nobody understands that dictates that only 597 of those people actually see our post, which is insane, right? Like, we're not even reaching our fans on this platform. Now, just to rub a little salt in our wounds, we could pay Facebook for the right to reach our own audience. We could literally give them money to reach our own audience. I mean, this is insane. It used to be that we would distribute our content and someone would pay us for the right to have our content. Now we're doing all the work, giving this platform our content for free, and it's their business model, it's their brand experience, it's their algorithms, and we get like a bag of likes in return, which I'm really not sure what to do with. Like, I can't pay my staff with that. I can't, pay the mortgage, right? I mean, what are we doing with a bag of likes, right? Now, obviously, you need to play in this ecosystem. I see social as top of the funnel. It's a way to expose new people to the stories that you're doing, but it's really not the place where I want to build out my full offering. I see social platforms as the appetizer. I want the full meal to be on our owned and operated site. For us, that's MediaStorm.com. And I want a tool set that allows me to tell the definitive version of that story on our website. So let's, think about social as top of the funnel marketing. So there's other issues, is that these businesses that we are building our farms on, like Instagram, which has obviously been amazing for photographers, it's a great platform, but they kind of continue to evolve and change their approach. Like they recently said, we're going to pivot to video. Well, if you're a still photographer and you don't care about video, that's not great for you. It's like, I came here because I wanted to show my photography. And this is my story about here, building your business on someone else's land. I love that headline. It's something I think about a lot. You got to be careful with that. And of course, these things come and go. This is this amazing animation that was done by the Next Web. And I've been looking at this for years as things come and go. So when we launched in 2005, MySpace was the top social platform. I don't know if anyone's old enough here to remember MySpace, but like, man, we did a ton of work on MySpace. It was like all throwaway because it's gone now. We just lost every piece of work we did there. Of course, YouTube emerged and it became super important. Facebook came online, it became super important. MySpace started its slow descent, and then all of a sudden 2010, here comes Google Buzz. Oh, it's Google, it's going to be so important. Like, we rallied resources to get, we had 300 films. How do we get 300 films up on Google Buzz? Like, we got to do a lot of copying and pasting to get that done. Of course, that died a slow, painful death, right? So this is the point of this animation, is that things come and go. As we've been talking this morning, there's a new service that just launched. It's called Ooga Booga. It's the hottest thing going. Everybody's got to be there. Well, how do you do that in an efficient way? Is something that I spend a lot of time thinking about, because really you need to distribute to all these platforms. You want to have a presence on all these spaces, but we all know how much work that is today to do that. All right, so these come and go. In fact, Facebook is no longer the most popular social platform. Now it's TikTok, which, that kind of came out of nowhere. I remember when that was Musical.ly and it became TikTok. So these things come and go. I think owning your own data is the key here. Being in a place where you've controlled your data and you can publish to these endpoints kind of seamlessly without starting over and doing a lot of copying and pasting. So that's one of the things we've worked on. All right, so this is our own piece of the internet. This is our land, MediaStorm.com, our owned and operated site. And, we've built a brand there. We have an aesthetic, a visual way of looking, like a color palette, the blue highlight color, a type treatment, a design approach that sort of signifies how all of our films fit together. And I think we've set a user expectation there. Like, people know when they come to MediaStorm kind of what to expect. And, our focus has been to try to be worth your time, frankly. That has always been our goal as storytellers. If we produce it, we want to make sure it's really good and it's like something that you'll watch and share with your friends. So that's our little piece of the internet. Now, when we go off platform to say YouTube, we look like YouTube. I mean, there's just no way around it, right? It's their brand experience. It's sort of their playback engine. And this is a really good example of what I'm talking about in terms of the appetizer, because this is the trailer. It's a minute 15 version of a trailer of Jonathan Turgovnic's film. And the 14.5-minute film is only on our site. That's where so we're trying to get you off of our platform and onto off of YouTube and onto our platform is the goal. The other thing about this that kind of drives me crazy is that we don't own the algorithm on the right. This playlist on the right is driven by an algorithm, and really weird things happen there. I mean, this is a very intense film about the genocide in Rwanda and the aftermath of that. And if you look at the fifth item in the playlist here, that's a woman in a bikini. Like, I don't really understand why that's there, what generated that in the algorithm, but it's quite offensive given the nature of this film. So again, we don't control that, which bothers me. The other challenge is that, there's these algorithms that will, give you copyright violations. I mean, this is a film we did about Nick Gutt's famous, Vietnam picture, and YouTube flagged it. They said, "We think you're violating our child safety policy here." Well, is that the world we want to be in, where the algorithms are telling me what I can and can't publish? Like, that scares the hell out of me as, an independent publisher. I don't want to be in that situation. So again, I can tell that story on my site, but YouTube may dump me. And then, of course, these guys are constantly changing their model. Like, we did a ton of work to put all our films on Amazon, and they just purged them all. Like, they just decided we don't want to serve these films anymore. No discussion. It's just all of a sudden the next day that part of your business is gone. So it's just scary. You got to protect yourself. And here's our apocalypse from YouTube, where David was one of the top YouTube creators, was making $275,000. All the way down to 2,000. I don't know if anyone in this call could take that kind of financial hit, right? So you got to, as a freelancer, you have to diversify your business. That's a big part of it. All right, a little bit of good news. I remember when I started MediaStorm in 2005, I was sort of running around the country saying all these platforms are going to be competing for content and they're going to be paying top dollar for the best work. Well, that took a long time to get here. I mean, it's kind of happening now, where these guys realize that the best storytellers are very valuable to their platforms. And so they're trying to keep them, right? And to do that, they're paying for it, as they always should have. We sort of let this happen in a weird way, where we're like, yeah, sure, we'll give you our content so we can get a bag of likes, and And then we sat there and we're like, oh shit, this isn't working as well as we'd like. But now they're realizing, okay, we better pay some money, or if we don't, we're going to lose these guys. And then I saw this the other day, which I love this. The good news is Web3. So the start of the web was companies creating content and companies making money. The Web 2.0 was all of a sudden independent people were creating content, but companies were still making all the money, right? Web 3 is going to change the equation because it's going to introduce things like microtransactions and accountability with blockchains and NFTs and crypto, all that stuff that you're hearing, these buzzy words, they're really important. And you guys should really read about what's happening in the space, because Web3 means the people who create the content are also the people who are going to make the money. And here we are 30 years into this internet experiment, and we finally have this transaction layer that's going to be so important to creators. So I'm bullish about where this is headed. I think, people on this call are probably all really good storytellers, and you are positioned really well for the future. And then the last sort of setup thing here is that I love this tweet: independent needs to exist, because otherwise there's literally no space for ideas and projects that are not driven by mainstream thought and corporate intervention. To me, the internet, this is what the internet should have done. It should have given this ability for independent storytellers to rise up. And I do believe that's coming because of the transaction layer. That's the piece that's been missing. But so that's the context for which we have been working to build this tool set. And I did this kind of big pivot in the last year or so to really focus on this, because what I realized is that at MediaStorm, we were making about 30 films a year. And it was an amazing journey. I got to collaborate with some of the best storytellers in the world. My staff was incredible. Like I got to work with some great people, and I really enjoyed that process. But what I realized is that 30 films a year is not putting the dent in the universe that I aspired to put into the universe. And, when I think about all the people we've trained and all the great work that they're doing as a result, that really excites me. And when I think about this tool set, I'm like, man, okay, instead of 30 films a year, we could have 30,000 projects coming out a year if we get this into the hands of the best storytellers. So it's really a tool set that's for the field. It's built for us, but it's now something that we're licensing out to other people to help them extend their storytelling. And so a little bit about how we got to this model was really through client work. We were building a lot of these interactive destination sites that clients were paying us to do. We were, learning on their dime and helping them sort of extend their storytelling process. And one of our big clients in the early days was the Council on Foreign Relations. So really great organization, super smart people. And we had an opportunity to create a franchise there called Crisis Guides. And they were on, the hottest issues going. And their goal was to try to be like the top search result on Google. Like if you type in Iran, is this like high on that first page, was their goal. And the way to do that is to make it like kind of the definitive piece of storytelling about that topic. And so the way these projects would start is they would come to us and say, okay, we want to do Iran. We'd like to lead the site with a 10-minute film that makes these 20 points. And as you can imagine, every time I read those 20 points, like 17 of those ideas would not make sense to be in a film. They'd be things like, what's the GDP of Iran? Well, the GDP of Iran is data. That should be an interactive experience. In a film, that would be a speed bump. Films are good with character, emotion, visually sophisticated coverage. That's what films do well. And when I reflect back on why we built all this stuff, a lot of it was because I was trying to protect the film. I always wanted the film to be great because it's like the first thing you see, it sets the tone for the entire experience. And so in this case, the film only had to make those 3 points that made sense to be in a film. And then those 17 ideas, we would pull them out and put them into these interactive experiences. And what we got good at in this process was building front-end templates that were really beautiful for the client, but also a tool set that allowed them to maintain these very sophisticated experiences. So the templates would include things like packaging video, obviously interactive timelines for telling historical stories, bubble maps for location-based storytelling, interactive charts for the data, like the GDP stuff. And so we call those titles. Those are interactive titles. And then from there, the next step was, well, how do we get to the cover? What's the cover of the internet supposed to look like? How do we bind these title types together? And so we started by animating our poster frames. So poster frames like the Hollywood movie poster for your film. And so just bringing a little motion to that still image. This is where I think the web is going. I think it's going to be a much more cinematic space. So you take like a famous Rick Smolin picture and that animates on screen. It's still an amazing picture on end, but you give some motion to it to get it going. So once we had that in place, we started to prototype the cover experience. So this is an example where you have an animated poster frame, and then we have 2 cover templates. One's called grid, and this is grid, and then we also have menu. So in this case, you've got 4 entry points into this project. You've got a feature-length film, you've got an epilogue on what happened to the family after the story ended, you've got a historical timeline on the story, you've got a slideshow that showcases the pictures best. So think of cover as a way to bind those disparate media title types together. That's its goal. You can also set brand experience. So this is our collaboration with the International Center of Photography, their Infinity Awards. So again, we can set some brand experience up front, and then this is our menu cover title type. What's cool about this, obviously I roll over pub and I get some text and a visual. What's cool about this example is that I built this myself in like under 5 minutes, right? That's the power of our tool set. It's really easy to use, but it creates these beautiful templates, right? These beautiful cinematic playback experiences that are battle tested, driven by client demand kind of experiences. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're white labeling this player. We're licensing it out to other people to use. And one example of that in the early days was with Sundance in partnership with the Gates Foundation. Again, they've set some brand experience here up front for the short film challenge. And here's 8 films in a playlist, but this is their editorial control that, you know, orders the playlist. There's no algorithm running against it, right? There's no woman in a bikini in their playlist. This is their brand experience, their editorial control. So that's kind of the key idea with the player. All right, so let me show you this guy in action here. This is the collaboration with the International Center of Photography. And every year we make the films for the Infinity Awards. Last year, Don McCullen won for Lifetime Achievement. I'm sure everybody knows Don, amazing conflict photographer. So I had the opportunity to go interview him, and we made this beautiful film about his career, but then we also have a slideshow. So this is cover. So to the left, you can go see a film about Don's life. And to the right, you can go see a slideshow. So it seems very simple, right? And it's supposed to be, but there's a big difference between a picture that I put in the film that maybe is on screen for 5 seconds versus a picture in a slideshow that you can look at as long as you want. You can read a caption, you can transact around it. So that's kind of why we built the tool, is to use the right way of storytelling, right? The right form. All right, so this is our video playback experience. We did a very important thing here, which is we integrated Vimeo. So this is Vimeo's playback here, their cut downs, and it's their subtitle process, right? And we chose Vimeo because they are amazing at serving video. Like they have a team of people shaving milliseconds off the load time of a video player. Like I, as a small independent company, I don't need to go build a video player. Like they're amazing at that. So we integrated Vimeo, but we don't look like Vimeo. We've wrapped it with our player, which now you can white label. So where it says MediaStorm, that can say any brand. And then we have room for sponsorship up here. We're getting Vimeo's performance and then our layers of interactivity. So our interactivity starts with this menu. And the menu to me is really important for adding context to your films. We all know in the photography world, we have IPTC. We have this standard way of sharing metadata with photography. It's brilliant that that was built early on. Video really doesn't have that. So we built this menu to create a metadata container for our films. So if you click on about, this is obviously telling you what the film is about, but it's also giving me text that Google can now grab and index your film. So you get much better search results, really good SEO. And then we control all the fields in the database, so you can reuse like credits and you can show your partners really well. And then these are just basic, simple things. Like we make transcripts for every film. So we add that, again, really good for SEO, but also good for accessibility. We do a ton of research for our films, so we add those links. Google rewards this. When you spider in and spider out, your search results go up on a topic. And then we also do merchandising. So this is really important to me. You know, if you've watched this film about Don and you realize, man, this guy's epic, and then you're like, oh my God, he's made all these books. Like, I want to buy one of his books. So I can click through, in this case, to Amazon. And here I've got an affiliate code, which anyone can get an affiliate code. This takes just a few minutes to get set up. And you add this little tag to the end of your link, and that gives you a 10% of the sale, not just of this book, but of whatever people buy during that session. And I know that because someone bought a $700 circular saw and we got $70 for it. weird way of making money, but I'll take it, right? And then of course you could do calls to action. So like ICP's event is a fundraiser. It's a really important fundraiser for them. So we can have one click through to donate. So think of the menu as basically anything you can do in WordPress, we can do in our menu on the left there. And then our next level of interactivity is the navigation index. So this is a very simple player. It basically has a cover, a film, and a slideshow. So I can jump to any other part of that experience. All right, so here's slideshow. Now slideshow is where image is the hero of slideshow. I'm kind of bummed that I had to build this capability. This is the 4th time in my career I've built a slideshow tool. But I just felt like nothing integrated in this way. And there's certain features that I've wanted forever that we finally have made available here. So for example, I can show exactly where a picture was shot. This is our Mapbox integration. And we can use GPS coordinates to show you exactly where a picture was shot. This is obviously optional. You wouldn't always want to do that, but I think it's a pretty cool capability. And then we can do related audio or video. And so this is Don talking for 1 minute and 3 seconds about this first picture he ever had published. Now, what's interesting about this is this actually was in the film for, a second. We had it kind of in the narrative of the film, and it just took too long to explain it. It was kind of off spine, and so we cut it. And filmmakers know that's a hard process. You cut these things and you're like, I don't want to really leave that out. I really like to tell that part of the story. What's cool here is that it's not in the film, but it's here against the picture that he's actually talking about. So it adds this amazing layer of context. And instead of having to leave that on the cutting room floor, I can now add value through the slideshow experience to it. And of course, we can do visual links here to his book. And then there's that rich metadata that follows you through the whole slideshow. Now, a slideshow works the way you would expect, but what's cool is instead of the video playhead well, now I've got nonlinear nav down here, so I can jump to any other picture within the slideshow. And then this is crazy. I've been trying to build this since 1998. In 98, I was at msnbc.com. We launched a feature called The Weekend Pictures, and it became incredibly successful. When I left, we were doing 100 million page views a month with that feature. It was hugely successful. And what I was trying to do was add these 2 links, really simple, to a front end merch, a slideshow that had 100 million page views. If the photographers could have had this little link to license that image, in this case, we're going through to Contact Press, which is a great agency as well. This is driven by Photo Shelter, a really great company that helps photographers as well. And so these are just third-party links, right? They go to buy a print or license an image. So consumer-facing slideshow with transaction built in was kind of the goal there. Of course, we have a thumbnail view, as you would expect. You can jump to any picture within it. Now, the most important thing about our player in my mind is the share capability. So if I click on sharing and I go to embed, what we've done here is if you copy that little piece of code, I can paste this into any content management system. So to be clear, we are not trying to replace like WordPress or Squarespace or Wix or anything like that. We actually plug into those content management systems with an embeddable player. Now, we are a CMS as well. We can replace your CMS, but only if you're really visual, if you're really about video and interactivity, that's where we are great. I think most content management systems are built with text as the hero, like they built the infrastructure around text as the primary tool. But we're the opposite. For me, text is always in support of the stories that I'm doing. Like my stories are films or visual or interactive. And so text is a supporting player. So that's the difference, I think. All right, so let me show you what I mean by this. If I take that little piece of embed code, here we are on a different website. This is the British Journal of Photography. They've rebranded it as 1854. And they did this great story about the ICP Infinity Award winners. Now, as part of that story, they embed our player on their website. And what's awesome is it's as if they've embedded a piece of my website on their website, because everything I showed you about that player goes with it, right? This is our background animations here on rollover. Our menu flows through, so all of our merchandising is there. The index is fully functional, but it's our brand, our sponsorship, our editorial control, our analytics, our business model, right? It's all the things that are good about social, but you don't give up the control. Like it's still your content, your sort of storytelling experience. And if you go full screen on the player, like, why do I care where you would have started that from? It could have been on Seven's site or, any other website. It doesn't matter. It's the same experience. So this is a collaboration we did with the New York Times called the 1619 Project. In this case, you can watch a film about the project. You can see a slideshow. This is Kathy Ryan's team at the New York Times Magazine, so you can see their spreads. You can listen to a 4-part podcast series that was done by The Daily, or you can see an educational curriculum. This was created by the Pulitzer Center. And I mean, just right there, just combining those 4 things in a cinematic way and being able to distribute in this way, I think is a really unique capability. So here's another title type we call page. Again, it's just what you could do in WordPress, but it's all bound together by this really slick index. And again, that was all happening on someone else's website, right? But it's my control over the experience. Now, what's really cool is that we can launch a player, or we can launch a full-on website. So this is our homage to all the ICP films that we've created over the years. It's a destination site. And what's cool here is that I built this myself without a line of code, right? It's all drag and drop. So I built this really cool interactive, website with, if I go into 2020, what you're seeing is that McCullen player has sort of bubbled into the website. And of course, with navigation, I can jump over to 1619, or I can get back out to, all the other years. I also have a playlist here of every film we've done that will play continuously. I think it'll take a couple days to see all that. And again, those are the same films that are showcased in the player. And then the other capability we have is a mapping capability, and this is a Mapbox integration. So the same way we integrated Vimeo for our video playback, we've integrated Mapbox as our mapping tool. So it's all their borders and country names, and we bring the interactivity to it. So in this case, this is Amber Bracken's film about Standing Rock. So you can see exactly where that is based on a map. All right, now the other thing that's awesome is here we are on Twitter, and this is Tim McLaughlin, who is the editor of a lot of these films. So he tweeted to this website, and here's what's crazy. If I click that link, I'm literally loading that entire website inside of Twitter. So in this case, you're not leaving the social platform, but you're getting this interactive playback on Twitter, which I think is super rad. Really cool thing. All right, so that's a little bit on the front end. I want to show you the back end here, the way we're thinking about the back end and the CMS side of things. So we had this amazing opportunity about 4 years ago in collaboration with the Carnegie Corporation of New York to rebuild the tool from the ground up, really around the specific project, which was how do we do a crisis guide on US-Russia relations, which 4 years ago, that was a pretty big topic, right? Like what's going on in Russia with Trump and all the craziness around that. So I'll show you the back end here really fast, a couple of high level things here. The way we're organized is around 3 topics. So we manage your media, which is your audio, your images, and your video. We manage your titles, and those are all the interactive experiences, and I'll show you several of those. And then we have this concept of a release, right? And a release is where you do the authoring of, say, a film and an interactive slideshow. A release allows me to launch that into a player, like I showed you with Don McCullen, or I can take a series of those things and release it into a website, like I showed you with ICP. So very unique capability. Where we're headed next on this, super important to me. I know I was dumping on social, but you got to be on social because 45% of all video played on the internet is played on YouTube. So you have to be on YouTube, but what are you there with? I say you go there with an appetizer, you pull them to your site for the full meal. So where we're headed with release is that you'll author once, and then we'll say to you, okay, send this to TikTok and Snapchat and LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and on, right? So as independent publishers, our syndication needs are extremely high. And so we're trying to automate a lot of that. Okay, so a couple quick examples in here. If I sort by video, I open this Madeleine Albright experience. So this is Carnegie's Vimeo player here. They've uploaded this file to Vimeo. And what we do is we separate the data from the presentation. So the data is the Vimeo player. The presentation are these 5 shapes you can use to present Madeleine on your website. Now you'll notice our auto crop on this vertical is pretty unforgiving. Poor Madeleine got cropped right in half. What's cool about our system, I literally can just hit edit and accept, and I just fix that everywhere in their universe. That's the kind of thing that used to cost me at minimum 20 minutes of my life. Like, where's that file? Open it in Photoshop, crop it, compress it, republish it, like maddening, inefficient. Our tool set is meant for people like me and David, like storytellers. Like, we want to tell stories. I don't want to have to work hard to do that. I want to put my creativity into the storytelling process, and efficiency matters to doing that, right? So we're trying to be efficient. Okay, as I mentioned, we can launch a player or a website. I want to show you this concept of a website. What's cool about what we've done here is that we have this really cool drag and drop capability. So all of our stuff works this way. This is literally the navigation to your website. So I can reorder the nav to your website. Of course, I can preview your site. Now, when the site loads up, what you're going to see, the first chapter is called Introduction, and it has a film. The second chapter is called Myths and Identity. It has what we call an interactive cover, and it also has a playlist. Okay, so here's that site loading up. And we'll get to questions here in a sec, guys. I see some of them coming in. All right, so here's Introduction, and there's the film. Here's Myths and Identity, right? So now what you're seeing is an interactive cover. This is all updatable with the tool set, background image type button, all tweakable, easy stuff. And then here's our playlist template. What's cool about playlists, it can be audio or video. And our unique rub is that we bring foldering to it. So you can see engagement is 9 films, 44 minutes of content, expectation, 8 films, 30 minutes of content. And so it's all bound together. And what's awesome is on the back end, again, all drag and drop. So this, again, it's meant for storytellers. I can reorder that playlist. I can go into edit mode. I could say, you know, the best of 7 photographers, right? And that could be a folder. So that's the goal. Really easy to manage on the back end and really strong templates on the front end. All right, I'll show you 2 more here. The next one is Timeline. So what's cool about Timeline is this is great for historical storytelling. So here I can kind of go 1 frame at a time. I can, you know, speed scroll to a deeper date within the timeline here. I can go to any other part of it. And what's cool on the back end is it's all form-based data. So I just update a timeline template and I hit publish, and this thing will dynamically update. The next one I want to show you is Maps. So maps have plagued me my entire career. They're hard to build, super hard to maintain. And the way we crack the code on this is by integrating Mapbox. Mapbox brings all these styled maps to the table, and then we bring interactivity on top of it. So in this case, I can, you know, scroll in and I can say, show me Afghanistan. So this is all coming out of our tool. We manage these legends, we manage the categories. So like Afghanistan is in world, but it's also in Asia, right? So you'll notice there's multiple ways to sort of zoom in on it. Now with Slick on the back end, I'll just show you one example of our templates here. If I go to pin map and I open this map experience here, all of our templates have a short and long description and category. So you have like a basic metadata on the general tab. Map has this unique capability for your credits and your icons. So all those things are updatable, your legends and your categories. And that's easy stuff. Here's the hard part. If you load up Afghanistan, you'll see the text that we're displaying, the 2 categories it's displayed in. The hard part is, where is Afghanistan? And what's cool is I can make that interactive part is clickable here, or I can support GPS coordinate all the way down to the, you know, place David is sitting right now. So it's super accurate. And there's the rich media that we're displaying when you click on it. Now, I realize that probably doesn't look very sexy to you guys. To me, this is epically sexy. This client was driving us insane with change requests, right? And now they don't have to call us at all. They can tweak this map on their own. They can update and you know, manage this very sophisticated kind of experience. All right, 2 last quick things here. So here's the cover for this particular site. I mentioned we built this grid cover capability. So it looks really beautiful. It's kind of cinematic and it's easy to tweak. So you can change timeline or text or button name or image. And it looks great on my big desktop screen, but obviously, you know, not everybody's on a desktop anymore. So what happens with our templates, they're all fully responsive. So they resize all the way down to a mobile experience. So we handle that on the template. You don't have to worry about that. You go tell stories the best you can. We're going to make sure it looks great no matter where somebody sees it. And then the thing that's wild about what we've built is that everything is embeddable. A player is embeddable. Even a website is embeddable. So this is our website, MediaStorm.com. This is the website I just showed you embedded on our website. It's like a website within a website. It's like an Escher puzzle. And what's cool is any change they make to it on page load, I'll get the update to it, right? Now, what's wild here is we also can do deep linking. So it can start on any chapter. So these can be different parts of your storytelling website, right? All right, last quick thing here, and then I'll stop yakking at you. I'll show you guys this. I don't normally show this. Sometimes I show it. Sometimes I'm feeling it. This is a template that we built for this project. We had 400 hours of video interviews in this project. It was massive, amazing piece of storytelling driven by my pal, Mike Moran. And what was great about this is there was, you know, really smart things that were being said. It was a lot of expert interviews, a lot of white dudes in ties, if you will. And we didn't have the budget to go produce all these films, but the information that they provided was fantastic. So we had like these short, in this case is like a 2-minute clip, and you know, you've got this talking head here. But after a while, you're gonna be like, okay, I'm kind of bored of looking at this guy. What's cool is you can go into like interactive mode and you can look at the data that he's talking about. And this is where we're headed with the tool, is this deep integration between these disparate media types, right? So we manage them independently, but we also give you good templates for playback and packaging. All right, last thing I want to show you guys is a prototype of where we're headed next, and it's around podcasting. I don't know about people on this call, but I am super amped up about podcasting right now. Like, I love this format. Like, I will literally drive farther away to go do something right now just so I can listen to podcasts. Like, I'm super amped about it. But I feel like there's two fundamental flaws with podcasting. The first is its strength. It's audio only. So it's great for drive time, but they're leaving the entire visual layer on the table. They're leaving all the interactivity of the web on the table. They're just missing parts of the storytelling process. So that's sort of one issue. It's the second issue that drives me absolutely insane. I can't believe it, but we're doing it again. We are once again, as storytellers, giving our content to another platform, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever it might be. We're giving them control of the whole experience. They own the audience. They own all the data. It's their algorithm. It's their business model, their brand. We're doing it again. We're doing what we did with social media, right? And so I want to take it back. I want to empower storytellers to be visual and interactive with their podcast and have control of their audience relationship. So we created a prototype here with one of my favorite podcasters, a guy named Tim Ferriss. And this is, I just want to show you what Tim does today. And then I want to show you how we visualize that in the tool, and then I'll stop yakking. All right, so here's Tim's, his destination page for a single podcast about Neil Gaiman. And here's his components. He has a great headline, Neil Gaiman, the interview I've waited 20 years to do, episode 366. Man, I'm clicking that every time. 20 years you've been waiting? I want to hear this episode, right? Plus I love Neil Gaiman. He has a picture. It's not a great picture, but he has something to share to social. So that's critical. He has really good setup text. He's amazing with his metadata. So he's going to index really well on the Google. He is authoring once and publishing many. He's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, YouTube. I mean, you know what this means. Some poor intern is doing a ton of copying and pasting and uploading and moving things around and wishing their job was more creative. This is super wasteful of human capital. So we have a philosophy for how we're going to automate that. He has sponsorship. He's sponsored by Peloton, great sponsor, but it's a text link buried down the page. He has books for sale. I'm convinced the reason Tim does content is because he wants you to buy his book. Like, it's a marketing engine for him, and his books are amazing. You should buy them. I'm a big believer in them. And then this is where Tim goes like Spinal Tap 11. He's got related links from this episode, right? He's got all of his show notes, and he's got everyone mentioned in his podcast linked out. This guy's like a metadata baller, right? His search results got to be amazing, and search is critical. We all know what a big driver that is. But the way he's using the web is really as a metadata store. He's not visual. He's not interactive about the way in which he's displaying it. It's not embeddable or shareable, really. All right, so here's what he looks like in our player, and this is what we mean by its white label player. He gets to upload his logo here, the Tim Ferriss Show, top left. He has sponsorship on the right. So there's Peloton, which is now visual, and it persists through the whole experience. So you could charge more for it. And then we allow you to pick your own color and your own font. So he chose yellow. So his links go yellow, his buttons go yellow, his navigation goes yellow. Now there's one link here. It says powered by our MediaStorm logo, and that just goes to our tools page. It's tools.mediastorm.com, where you can see the capabilities of the tool set and learn how to license it. But aside from this link right here, everything else is Tim's. It's our tool set, it's our strategy, but it's all his execution. So it's his logo, his editorial control, his analytics, his business model, right? He's even hosting the experience. When you publish from our tool, it goes to his server. So we decouple from the tool set at that point. Now, my strategy is kind of fully in play here, because obviously most people are listening to Tim on iTunes or Spotify. And what I want him to say is, I hope you enjoyed this episode with Neil Gaiman. If you want to learn more about Neil, go to timferriss.com, or he's tim.blog is his URL. And there you can see a timeline of Neil's entire career. You can see a slideshow of every film he's ever made. And this is how I believe we're going to beat social. We are literally going to out-publish them. We are going to tell a much more complete and definitive version of that story on our owned and operated site That's where the meal is. You'll use social to promote it. That's top of the funnel marketing, but you always want to drive people to your site where you capture that audience and it's your brand experience. Now, what you get with our players, all those things, you get all that deep branding experience, but you get this amazing integration as well. So for example, in this case, if I were to click listen to the podcast, I can be listening to it, but I also can say jump to a slideshow. Now, when I'm in the slideshow, I'm still listening to the podcast. I can pause it, I can rewind it, but I can go through a slideshow while I'm listening to a podcast. It's one of the things about podcasts that drive me crazy. They're talking about a picture, but I can't see the picture. I wish I could, right? Now you can. And then last thing here, just to show you how dynamic this menu is, everything Tim is doing today, which I think we all can agree is amazing and quite sophisticated on the metadata side, I think we can just help him package that better. So you can watch the episode, you can see the bios for the people in it, the show notes, all the people mentioned, linked out, all of his episode links, his sponsorship, but much more visual now with a call for additional sponsors, every episode he's ever done, all of his books fully transactable. And then at the end, get the gold. The gold is the email address. Knowing who your audience is everything. It's paramount, so that you can send them an email and say, by the way, I just made a new thing, check it out. There's no algorithm that's filtering me out there. It's a direct relationship with my audience. Now, Tim has something like 2 million people on his newsletter. He's got a huge newsletter, very well followed guy. When he sends that newsletter out, he should not be sending people to iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify, right? He's going to be on those platforms, of course, but his marketing should go to his own website where he has the best version of the story, the most complete visual interactive version of that story. And what's rad is that Neil Gaiman can also pick up that embed code and he can put it on his personal site, and then he can do social and say, hey, I was just on the Tim Ferriss show. Go to neilgaiman.com, check it out. And when you get there, you get this player, which Tim Ferriss is psyched about. It's his logo, his sponsorship, his editorial control. It's like the best of all worlds that are happening there. And of course, it's a podcast player, so it has to resize down to a mobile experience. All of our templates are what we call fully responsive, work on mobile and the web. They're just better on desktop than they are on mobile kind of thing. So that's the tool set. It's really built around film originally, but we created these other storytelling formats to allow us to tell the best story in the best possible way. You know, it's about storytelling, but it's also about packaging and distribution, but mostly it's about us retaining control of our future. You know, that's, you know, the idea. Obviously we built this for ourselves, so, you know, we're going to rebuild MediaStorm around this concept, but now we're helping, you know, other people do it as well, and we're licensing the tool set out to them. Okay, I don't know what time it is. I'm probably getting close here. 10 minutes. Why don't I stop there? There's other things I would share, but let me just stop there and leave some space for a conversation. So let me stop sharing.
I mean, incredible. It's an incredible tool, incredible presentation of the tool, and you know, answers my question: what happened in the last 13 years? Is that it went from producing these linear videos, which are still there, to building this huge system that makes it sound complex. It's very rich, but it's very user friendly as well. Certainly, from my perspective, coming originally from an academic background, this answered the one question that really got me into thinking about photography and that really attracted me to MediaStorm at the beginning, and that is, how do you provide context to a photograph beyond just a simple caption? And you've answered that question in a very, very rich way. We've got a couple of questions from the audience, and then I've got some questions too. And if anyone else in the audience wants to drop questions into Q&A, we have time for that. It's all good. I think this question will probably help clarify one of the points. Glenn's asking that you talked in the beginning about the dangers of building on other people's land and their platform. But he's asking, aren't we building on your MediaStorm platform here?
Great question. Yes, you are in the build process, right? So it's our tool. It's all running on Amazon Web Services, so it's up in the cloud. So you upload and you do all your packaging in our tool set. But when you hit publish, and this was quite controversial decision we made early on, when you publish, you are actually publishing to your own server. So you can set up an Amazon S3 server, which we don't recommend. That's kind of for big companies. Or you set up what's called a Netlify account, and Netlify does third-party hosting, but it's your server. So at that point, we package up a flat file and we write it to your server, which you own. It's yours, right? So you don't have to continue to use our tool to host your experience. You're hosting it. And, people in the Valley are like, oh man, you should lock people in with hosting. I'm like, I don't want to win people's business because I'm hosting. I want to win your business because we have a killer tool that helps you tell stories better. And, once you've done that work and you publish, it's all yours. It's your brand. It's your hosted experience. It's your editorial experience. We do have the tiny link, powered by our logo on the bottom right there, but that's it. Aside from that, it's all yours, right? So, people in the Valley think I should lock people into hosting. I'm like, I wouldn't sign up for that. Like, I built this for us, right? Like, I'm building a system that I would want to live in, and I'm trying to share that with other people because I think, like I said, 30 films a year is one thing. 30,000 experiences like that could change like the way people see the world, and that's kind of the overarching goal, is to help
I also
people
thought it
get.
was interesting when you see your um, thing embedded on someone else's website. You've gone from building something on someone else's land to actually squatting on someone else's land. So they're
Well, and look,
they're paying for the land, and you're taking advantage of that
yeah,
because all your stuff is going with it.
yeah. Well, and in some cases, like with Twitter, that's amazing that can happen. And like Twitter is, open enough. Like, but Facebook, our player used to load on Facebook. They shut that down, right? Now you got to upload into Facebook's player because they want control. Right. They want the analytics. Right. They want their playback engine. And so again, like, it's critical for us moving forward. We know we're going to publish to Facebook. I mean, at least for a little while longer. Facebook's probably going to die. Like, my kids are not going to use Facebook. It'll be in that graph somewhere, receding the other direction. And I don't want all my work there to go away. All my work is happening in our database, right? And so when Facebook dies, fine, it dies, but there'll be this new thing that spins up, and all the work that I've done, it'll just be a checkbox for me to say, send this to this new platform, Ooga Booga. It's the hottest thing happening. All the kids are on it. How do we get there fast is kind of the goal. And so author once, publish many, critical part of the strategy here. Separate data from presentation, critical part of the strategy.
Right. Obviously, this next question depends on kind of the project that you're engaged in. But Mark was wondering about how much time it takes to put some of these projects together. I mean, say the Don McCullen one and so on. You've got a lot of got a lot of simple functionality in the back end, but how much time?
Great question. So with Don, I mean, I would say the hard part of the Don project was, flying that to, England, getting an interview with him. That was hardest. Second hardest was then, making the film, which anyone who's made a film knows, like, that's hundreds and could be thousands of hours to make a film. Like, they're just really hard. And we don't get deep into that production process. We're a packaging and a distribution tool. So we're at the very end of the process. Right. When you're adding all the metadata, you're assembling covers, you're adding interactivity, building slideshows. I mean, I probably spent 2 days on McCullen's experience, maybe something like that. I could probably do it in a day now. I've just gotten faster with the tool. It does take work. I mean, you're adding all this editorial context to a project, so that takes work, right? It just does. But the hard part is making the actual film. That's the expensive, costly part. Where I think we come in is just presenting it and distributing it in beautiful and efficient ways is what we're trying to create there.
Right.
Yeah, so it takes work. Things take work, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the technology's changed a lot in the last 13 years, and since you started MediaStorm, and when you began, you were really, and still are, telling photographers rightly to think about how to record audio, how to make video, how to get those other assets so that you can build these sorts of projects. Do you think in the last decade or so, any of the fundamental principles of online storytelling have changed? Are they the same as when you started? Or, in other words, is this tool embodying some new principles of online storytelling, or is it building off existing principles and getting a really good way of delivering and showcasing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, people have always said to me, oh my God, you're so innovative. I'm like, I don't know. I've been doing the same damn thing since like 1995, to be honest with you, right? Or 93. Like, so what I built, and it's so ironic, one of our first big launches was actually with College Photographer of the Year and Pictures of the Year, which is where I cut my teeth at University of Missouri. I was doing interactive CD-ROMs there. And frankly, what they've launched, and they're adding to it today, the CPOI today, what they've launched is what I was hand coding on interactive CD-ROMs in 93. We've just made a tool set that made that easier. So is it new? No, I don't think anything we've done is particularly new. I think it's unique in that it breaks down these silos. It allows you to think about things that maybe were different departments before, and now it's all unified and easy to do. I will say that I still believe that, and photographers hate it when I talk about this, but filmmaking is a team sport, man. I know we're all lone wolves and we want to do it all ourselves, but like, to make something truly special, you got to collaborate. You got to find great partners, great teammates to do things that maybe you're not great at. Not everybody can do all these things. Our tool allows everybody to do that, but it doesn't mean you should. I can give you the best pen in the world. It doesn't mean you're Shakespeare. You know what I mean? Like, we all know that. Like, visual journalism is a craft. It's taken us all years to get good at that. Doing good maps, that's a craft. Making a good picture editing, a slideshow, that's picture editing is a craft. Go to Kalish, learn how to picture edit, right? So like, you still want to collaborate, but I think our tool allows that collaboration to happen pretty seamlessly. And if you do want to do it all you can, it's just, I think it's probably going to look like you did it by yourself if you don't collaborate. These are hard things to do. It takes skills to do them.
The sort of projects you end up with, because they're very broad, they've got a lot of context or whatever, it takes quite a lot of attention time from the audience. So once you get the audience to your place, you're asking them to give you a lot of attention. Do you have a sense of how audiences have responded to stories told on your platform or anything similar?
Yeah. Well, I'll go back to Kingsley because you brought it up. I mean, when we launched Kingsley in 2007, that was a 20+ minute film, and 65% of the people who clicked play on that film watched it to the end. 65% in 2007 watched a 20+ minute film online. So I think that's exceptional. Like, I think that's good. And I think the reason is you got to know, like, it's a great story, well told. And you got to know, does he make it? Is he going to make it? Like, you're on this journey with him, and it's sort of a cliffhanger, a bit of a cliffhanger. So good storytelling, beginning, middle, and end, surprise, apex, all those foundational storytelling elements have not really changed. The web allows some new capabilities for packaging and distribution. And of course, there's super innovative things you can do on the web. I'm trying to get like that base level stuff in place. Like, I think if you have developers, you should use them to innovate. They should do these really high-end things. They shouldn't go build a slideshow or a timeline, or we've solved those problems, right? Like, let's let those high-end developers go to the next level. And look, I mean, yes, it's hard to make something great, but like, I think that's what our field should be doing. Think about it. Like, you never finish an internet session and say, I'm done. I reached the end of the internet. I wish there was more. Like, that never happens, right? You often finish an internet session and say, man, I feel terrible about myself. Like, I just spent an hour and I got dumber. Like, I didn't learn anything. I wasted an hour of my life, right? Our field needs to be the antidote to that. We need to create less things that are better, that are worth people's time, that actually educate them, that call them to action, that inspire them, right? Like, we need to do less better. And that's what we built the tool to do, is to slow down, do a higher quality version, to be worth people's time on the internet when they can go anywhere they want on the internet. That's our challenge, guys. It's not creating more faster. It's doing less better, is what I would argue.
A question from Rebecca, who has done a workshop with you at BU. I'm not sure which university BU is.
That's Boston University.
There's Boston University. There you go. Have you considered what you would do if someone used your platform to disseminate hateful content?
Oh,
That's a tough question.
That is a tough question. I'm an independent company, so I could make the call there that, I'm not going to license you our tool to do that, right? That puts me in an awkward position. I'm sure Zuckerberg, rolls around in bed all night worrying about that kind of thing. But, I'm not trying to put this tool into, 50,000 people's hands. I'm trying to put it into the best storytellers' hands. And the best storytellers are pretty much driven the same way. They're trying to do good with the work they're doing. So, I'm sure we could run into that problem. It's a great question. Hasn't happened yet. People that are using the tools are using it to tell important stories. So I don't know. I'll call you at Boston University when that happens, and you can help me navigate it.
Yeah. Got a few people asking, particularly as you know, we have a lot of freelancers in the audience and so on, independent people, about pricing of the tool. Whether
Yeah,
is
great
it a
question.
one-off cost? Is it a subscription? What's the pricing?
Yeah. Yeah, so we built it as it's called software as a service. It's a SaaS model, and it's pretty much the way everybody's moving now, because what software as a service does, it's like what Creative Cloud is, where you pay a fee and you get continually updated features. And that's the way our tool works too. So you pay a yearly licensing fee, and we're rolling out new features all the way through the year. And the way we're pricing it is also, of course, a little controversial. Like, I can't do anything simple, I guess. But the pricing structure is, it's the same way I'm pricing our film work, right? When we go make films for a corporate client, like we've done a lot of work for Starbucks, for example, they pay more for us to make films for them. They're a corporate company, they have big marketing budgets, and they don't pay something that I think they think is unfair, but they pay a higher fee than when we go work for an NGO, for example. And so we have corporate fee structures that are much higher than an NGO or an individual. Most of our clients now are like nonprofit NGOs. And like I said, corporate clients are paying $100,000 a year to access this tool, which for them, that's a rounding error for their marketing budget. For what it does, it solves a lot of their digital asset management needs, allows them to package stories well and distribute and syndicate. Like, it's a fair number to them. Now we have NGO clients, nonprofit clients, they're using the exact same tool, exact same capability, but they're only paying $5,000 a year, because that's what's fair to them. It's not nothing. It's $5,000, right? That's a lot of beer money, but it's not outrageously expensive that they can't afford it. Like, I wouldn't want price to be the reason someone didn't use these tools. If they're the right kind of storyteller, I want to get it in their hands, right? So mostly we're licensing to organizations. We do have a handful of independent storytellers. They're individuals, and they pay $1,000 a year. So that's like our lowest, because I still have to support them the same way, right? It's the same work for us either way. But for an independent storyteller to spend $1,000 on a tool set, that's a lot of money, right? Like that tool set better really help them, do something great. And like I said, my goal with pricing is to be fair, to have it be a number that matters. Like, you have to justify it in your side of the equation, but it has to pay back. It has to be something that helps you. So it's basically a negotiation, right? I mean, I have standard pricing for certain types of things.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, I think we're coming towards the end of our time. I'm just scanning over other questions, but I think we've covered. Oh, one of them is future developments. Always hard to predict the future, but what about things like VR, AR, and so on? Are you thinking about building in capacity for that? That would be enormously complex, I imagine. But how are you thinking about some future things?
It's in the roadmap, but I wouldn't say it's urgent to me. I think what's more urgent is the transactional capabilities. So, I think, again, crypto and NFTs, like this Web3 layer that's emerging now, where the storyteller actually is king, which they always should have been, right? People tell us be the most valuable people in the ecosystem, and you're seeing it happen, right? It's happening slower than I had hoped, but you're seeing like the major social platforms. Like, I don't know if you saw the Twitch report that came out that showed like this thin layer of people is making most of the money. Well, surprise, surprise, the best storytellers make the most money. If people didn't know that, I don't know what you've been reading or paying attention to, but like, that's always the way it's been, right? The best storytellers should be compensated more than, the middle tier, right? And so what I'm looking more at in the future is things like, the NFTs and the crypto and the blockchain and, machine learning, like things that are going to, help people do things more efficiently. So that's kind of the next layer is it's transaction. I think that's going to be big. I think, if you have 1 million people following you on Instagram, and 10% of them are, signed up to subscribe to your insider membership experience, like, that's a business, man. And that's going to enable you to go tell the stories that you care deeply about. And man, that has been, to me, that's the holy grail. If we can get the best storytellers in the world enough money to where they're not worried about money, they're just telling great stories, that's when things are going to get really good, and I think that's coming. That's right around the corner.
Right. So one more question to finish off with from Mike Eco. who really likes the platform. Do you have any
Yay.
insight or experience about digital security? In some repressive countries, investigative stories and media platforms have been the target of cyber attacks. How do you protect your platform and the contents?
Yeah, great question. Not particularly my area of strength. I do have a really good friend who is deep in this area. And so we've been talking about what does this mean going forward, but we're not doing anything with our code that's like magic or super secretive or super special. So, I think we're just as secure as any other internet thing, which means everything is hackable, right? I mean, like this solar winds thing, oh my God, like we were in this deep conversation about solar winds, like everybody sort of just ignored this, but he's like, this is so big, so massive, so scary. So I don't know that there's any bulletproof secure thing. If it's digital and you put it on the internet, it's out there, right? Is the way you got to think of it.
Exactly.
I suspect there's a much deeper question in there, which I don't think I'm the right guy to answer. I would go to my buddy and say, dude, how do we think about this in a way that makes sense? Yeah, there's things coming that, are big topics that we're going to have to address that we haven't yet for sure. But I think as a baseline, it's in a really good spot to give people kind of control of their future, that's my goal. I want to own my future. I don't want somebody telling me what we can publish and when and how. I want to be able to tell great stories untarnished, if you will.
Yeah. And also it reinforces one point, which is one of the most important points you made, and that is you need to be collaborative. And so when you're branching out into these questions of either new technologies or security and so on, you need to be working with other people. No one can do all these things themselves.
Of course.
And so on.
Absolutely.
Well, that's been fantastic. Kathleen has a question, which is basically for me. Will the presentation recording be available later? The answer is absolutely yes, Kathleen. All our 7 Insider events are recorded. We get them up online on 7insider.org, hopefully within a week, with a transcript for SEO and accessibility purposes a little after that. But we're working on that process. So yes, you'll be able to check in a week or so, find this recording and watch it again at your leisure. Because there's a lot of stuff to go over. Brian, it's been absolutely fantastic. I think a lot of people are very excited by seeing this. It's opened a lot of eyes. And I imagine a lot of people are going to be in touch with you.
Yeah, well, if you want to reach me, I'm very easy to get. Just email me on brian@mediastorm.com is my email. And if you want to learn more, you can go to a page called tools.mediastorm.com to learn more about it. And I really appreciate everybody coming today and looking at it. I'd love to hear what you thought. Please email me. We're just at the early stages of this. I think it's going to be a really important next step for us and hopefully for the industry as well. That's the ultimate goal. And David, thanks, man, for pulling this together. I appreciate you. You're the best, man.
Pleasure. Talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Talk to you. See you.
Bye.